Hey guys, welcome back to yet another marvelous video. Today we are going to get into a Hellboy comic mini-series that was published by Dark Horse Comics. So this 4-issue mini-series was written and drawn by Mike Mignola and is titled Hellboy Conqueror Worm, which was inspired by the poem of the same name written by Edgar Allan Poe. In this video we are going to look into these issues, so sit back and enjoy as we dive in. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Poe's Conqueror Worm. Let us take a look at what Poe's poem deals with. You are introduced to a weeping audience, angels who are watching a play. On stage, you have the mimes, who are created in the image of God, and they're basically controlled by these formless shapes that are behind the scenes. They're shown to be controlling the mimes with what looks like strings. Finally, something comes crawling in, a monstrous being, and it eats all the mimes. Here, the final curtain comes down with a funeral pall, which signifies the ending to the tragedy of man. The angels take off their veils and discuss how this tragedy is a reference to humanity, and the hero of this play is the Conqueror Worm. This basically suggests that humans have no free will and are puppets who move at the bidding of others. Whatever suffering they go through is merely entertainment. This endless cycle only ends when death arrives. The poem presents the idea that the Conqueror Worm, just devouring all of them, is not just about life being terrible. It is about showing how futile life is. The fact that it is the hero here also suggests that death is the ultimate reality. Poe describes this creature as a hideous beast that is blood red and crawls and sinks its fangs into its victims. It puts forth the idea that human life is ultimately a tragedy that ends in death. A Nazi experiment. In 1939, at Hunt Castle in Austria, Lobster Johnson and his team of US soldiers are raiding a Nazi space program facility. The Nazis, under the cover of night, are preparing to launch scientist Ernst Oeming into space. Despite Johnson's intervention, the rocket takes off successfully, leaving the castle consumed in flames. Skip ahead 61 years, Tom Manning of the BPRD is briefing Hellboy and Roger the Homunculus about something interesting. That Nazi capsule is finally coming back to Earth. Its projected landing site is the ruins of Hunt Castle, naturally. Hellboy is not exactly thrilled about that mission, and he's particularly concerned about bringing Roger along. When they arrive at the castle ruins, they encounter Inger von Klemt. She is the granddaughter of Hermann von Klemt, a notorious Nazi scientist who, as it turns out, survived all these years. According to her, her grandfather has been methodically orchestrating events, waiting for the capsule's return. As Hellboy and Roger explore deeper into the castle, they are attacked by von Klemt's experiments, cybernetic apes and, other twisted creations, showing that the mad scientist has not been idle during these decades. Ghostly warnings and the horrors underground. Hellboy is in a pretty bad spot, strapped to an electroshock harness with Von Klemt, his granddaughter Inger, and one of those nasty Kriegaf creatures looming over him. Von Klemt cannot help but remind Hellboy about their previous encounter in South America and his connection to the Jurescu incident. Meanwhile, Roger is outside having an interesting chat with Lobster Johnson's ghost. Johnson reveals that Inger is not exactly who she claims to be, and Herman was the only one who made it out of Hunt Castle back in 1939. They head down into these underground caves beneath the castle and stumble upon something straight out of a nightmare, a room filled with Nazi-made humanoid machines. These things start powering up when they sense Roger's electrical energy. Roger, thinking quickly, drains the Nazi generator dry, which kills the power to both the machines and the whole castle. Back upstairs, the power outage gives Hellboy his chance. With the harness dead, he manages to take down the Kriegaf. But here's when things get weird. He spots this guy chained to the wall with 3 bullet holes in his chest. When Hellboy questions how he's still breathing, the man reveals he's not human at all, just wearing a human disguise. This mysterious figure drops some heavy revelations. Turns out, he was there when Hellboy was born and kept tabs on him at St. Leonard's Wood. He explains that during the war, the Nazis somehow made contact with these ancient cosmic horrors out in space. One of these entities has taken up residence in Ernst Oeming's corpse and is heading back to Earth in that Nazi capsule. Before his death, he hands Hellboy some kind of device meant to trap the creature. Roger shows up, but Lobster Johnson vanishes again. The Conqueror Worm arrives. The Nazi capsule finally lands, and Von Klempt tells Inger to mask up. This gas leaking from the ship turns them into mindless frog monsters. Inger tries to flee, but gets blocked by some ghosts of soldiers. While Von Klempt goes after Hellboy, Roger is left dealing with the capsule. Lobster Johnson makes another appearance, telling Roger he has got to face whatever is coming alone. Of course, that's when the frog monsters decide to jump Roger. Hellboy knocks Von Klempt's robot head clean off, revealing the truth that his actual head is preserved in a jar inside the robot body. Von Klempt manages to shoot Hellboy, who falls through the floor. That is when the Conqueror Worm finally shows up, and it is hungry and devours all those transformed men in one go. Now, down in the basement, Hellboy finds something straight out of a nightmare, the Nazis' old radio setup for contacting these cosmic horrors called the Ogdru-hem. The operators are still there, dead at their stations. They have got actual saint heads hooked up to the antennas. Meanwhile, Inger confronts her grandfather about controlling the worm. Von Klempt just laughs it off. He's done trying to gain power. Now, he just wants to watch everything burn. The worm's arrival will wake up 369 Ogdru-hem, then the Ogdru-jihad, leaving Earth as nothing but ash. He tells Inger her mask did not really protect her. He just wanted someone coherent enough to witness his grand plan. Inger takes off her mask, revealing she's turned into a frog monster too, just one that can still think and talk. The final battle. The Conqueror Worm tries to eat Roger, but spits him out near Hellboy. Just when Hellboy thinks he's got a shot with that alien device, Von Klempt's robot body snatches and crushes it. Rasputin then visits Inger, and she's disappointed that her plans to bring back the Third Reich have turned out to be pointless. Rasputin tells her that the worm will destroy the world. However, he also reveals that after this, a new race will be born, and she will be the first of them. Hellboy and Roger figure out electricity hurts the worm, so Roger uses that power he absorbed earlier. But the worm starts messing with Roger's head. He begs Hellboy to destroy him, but Hellboy refuses. That is when Von Klempt's floating head shows up to glow. Roger grabs Von Klempt's tank and takes a dive off the cliff, killing them both. Then Lobster Johnson shows up, finds Inger, and kills her as she's wailing about being the future. Then he and Hellboy find Roger, and Johnson pulls off one final trick. He uses a metal rod and puts it into Roger's chest and uses lightning to fry the worm. When they look back, they just see Johnson's actual corpse lying there. Hellboy has had enough. He quits the BPRD, disgusted with how they treated Roger, tells Kate he's heading to Africa, then wherever the road takes him. The ending. Inside the ruins of Hunt Castle, we get this incredibly tense scene between Rasputin and Hecate. She tells him to rest, and they talk about what went down at Castle Jurescu. Then she says that either she and Hellboy will rule whatever comes after the apocalypse, or they're both going down. Hecate starts mocking Rasputin about all his failed attempts to control Hellboy, basically telling him he's always going to fail because, well, he's just a ghost. This enrages him, and he says that the Ogdru-jihad chose him, and he's going to free them. Hecate reveals that only Hellboy's hand can actually free them. The same hand that locked them away in the first place. And Rasputin cannot control Hellboy, no matter how hard he tries. Rasputin screaming about how he brought Hellboy into the world, claiming he's still Hellboy's master, but even he knows it's empty words. He then proceeds to crumble into dust. The Baba Yaga then shows up, takes whatever is left of his essence, puts it in a hollow acorn, and then wears it around her neck like some twisted keepsake. Marvelous verdict. Well, with that, guys, we have come to the end of yet another marvelous video. In this comic, the villains basically play with the same idea that Poe does in his poem. What do you think about the Conqueror Worm's character and what it represents? How do you think Poe's poem connects to this narrative? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. If you enjoyed watching this, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, and have a great day, okay?